All right, we're back here on the bonus round as we count down to VGX coming on Saturday, December 7th. I'm here with Russ, Alex, and Steven. Let's talk about some of the other things that went on this year. One category that everyone talks about a lot is Studio of the Year, and of course we have some candidates that happen to make Game of the Year nominees, like Irrational with BioShock, Naughty Dog with The Last of Us, and Rockstar North for GTA 5. But then there's a surprise entrant on the list, the FULLBRIGHT company, which made this PC game on Steam named Gone Home. I played it. I thought it was an interesting experience. I mean, I thought it was a great kind of radio play, but I mean, the actual interactivity there wasn't a lot there, but I thought it was an interesting experience. I know you guys at Polygon have written very positive things on that. Gone Home, a worthy nominee for Studio of the Year?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, that's where studios are going, are these smaller, like
Right.
more creative ideas, and it is truly like an original experience. I've played a lot of games, and this does not feel like any other game I've played.
Should have been on the Game of the Year list?
I wouldn't put it on there personally,
Okay.
but I know our reviewer, Danielle, loved it.
Yes.
And I think it's a really special title and definitely worth playing for everyone.
Great to acknowledge, obviously. There's some
Absolutely.
great voice acting and performances like that. Alex, when you look at Studio of the Year, I mean, is it, you know, sometimes it's tough because the Game of the Year nominees naturally get in there for Studio of the Year, and then there's a surprise like FULLBRIGHT. Anyone else that should be on there?
Anyone else that should be on there? I don't know. You know, I feel like those are the studios that had the most standout years in
Right.
terms of just, you know, like.
Even
I mean,
Irrational? I mean, some people say Irrational may have had, you know, even more impact back when they were doing.
I mean, I suppose so, but I mean, when you're looking at the games that people paid the most attention to this year, and the games that people had talked about the most, I mean, I think BioShock Infinite is certainly up there, and you know, they definitely made a product that people still think about and still talk about, you know, this far down into the year. So
After all that turmoil.
After all that
Finally
turmoil,
came out, right?
yeah, I think it's still worth it.
But it's a weird category, right?
Yeah.
Are we judging, like, how do they treat their employees? Like, I feel
Yeah.
like that should be factored
point.
in if we're, you know, judging studios now, not just the games. They
No,
make.
that's a fair point. And sometimes studios have, you know, multiple games that come out in a year and
Sure.
things like that.
Yeah,
Or, you know,
absolutely.
Naughty Dog, that was impressive that they launched a brand new IP, right? So that's like, even though they're a fantastic studio any other year, pretty ambitious what
Yeah,
they did this
definitely,
year.
that's
Rockstar North, I mean, I feel like the entire Rockstar company gets behind Grand Theft Auto, but North is always given the credit sort of for leading the creative. Steven, are there any kind of developers or other sort of folks in the industry who you thought made a big impact this year that deserve to be recognized?
I think the indies are probably more and more deserving of recognition. I mean, if you've gone to any PAX shows, which hopefully a lot of people watching this have done, and you walk down that indie aisle, I mean, there's just so much creativity there. You go to like the Vlam beer booth, and you know you're playing Luftrausers and Ridiculous Fishing, which are two fantastic games, both being refined this year. And that's just a few people at that studio, and they've made two undeniably fun games on a shoestring, right? So I would commend those folks and other indies that have just sort of starved their way toward, or whatever, however they've made their money. I don't know. I don't want to say they're all poor, because some of them are probably rich, and that's how they're doing this. But able to have these successes. I also think that overachieving studios, when you look at a studio that's working within the, you know, sort of corporate structures or whatever, you know, do we praise Crystal Dynamics for getting Tomb Raider out there in good condition, or do we say, wow, it took them long enough? I'm not sure. I don't know that I know enough about the behind the scenes there. And then there's the multi-studio efforts. You know, how impressive is that what Ubisoft does annually with Assassin's Creed, or what Rockstar does with all the studios that make that? I mean, that's like an engineering marvel in some way, like an amazing bridge that gets built by hundreds of people. Is that more impressive than what 3 people did?
That's a great point. And one thing that you know, we're not really talking about a lot is mobile, right? And the fact that there have been some really kind of powerful, impressive iPad titles throughout the year. You know, the Game of the Year list are all big blockbuster $60 games. And I think, you know, last year we had some smaller titles like Walking Dead and Journey that were on that list. Gone Home, I guess, is considered sort of, you know, a cheaper game, shorter game from a new studio. But are we missing the boat, or is there a whole kind of, you know, group of games that should be up for Studio and Game of the Year in terms of iPad that just are not getting recognized because we're so stuck in this blockbuster $60 game mentality?
Well, yeah, if you go populist, I mean, I ride the subway here. I'm a man of the people. I don't have to take limos everywhere, despite what you might think. From how well you probably take limos dressed like that, right?
Takes
So
his
you
chopper.
don't know.
They're nice.
You don't know. But everybody's playing Temple Run,
Yep.
Temple Run 2, especially in the beginning of the year. It came out in January, and you know that game is made by like a married couple in I forget
North Carolina or
like,
something, I think?
yeah, something like that. And they've made a phenomenon. I mean
Yep.
that's impressive and extraordinary. So they're either Studio of the Year or the game more people play.
Simogo is another really
Device
great
6
Yeah.
and Year
And
Walk.
Year Walk, right? Yeah.
Year Walk,
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
really great studio. So yeah, they're definitely there.
All right, guys, hold that thought. We'll be right back here on the bonus round.